These offshore fish prefer deep reefs, or rocky banks in the western Atlantic. They're a dark pink-red, fading to pale underbelly, and younger smaller fish sometimes have a dark spot high on their sides. They are classically almond-shaped, with red eyes, and dorsal and anal fins that taper to points near the caudal fin. Generally they grow to 24 inches long, but some have been caught as big as 39 inches and 20 pounds. Importance to humans. The northern red snapper is a popular game fish, and is highly prized table fare. 8 million pounds of the snapper are caught in American waters each year. Most commercial fishing is done with electric and hydraulic reels with anywhere from 2 to 40 hooks on each line. Ladyfish and squid are the two most effective baits for catching the northern red snapper. They are also caught with hand lines, bottom long lines, and bottom trawls. Danger to humans. There have been reports of ciguatera poisoning from human consumption of yellowtail snappers, although such instances are considered rare for this species. Ciguatera poisoning is caused by dinoflagellates found on dead corals or macroalgae. By feeding on these corals and macroalgae, herbivorous fishes accumulate a toxin generated by these dinoflagellates. Largely a phenomenon of tropical marine environments, ciguatoxin accumulates still further in snappers and other large predatory reef species that feed on these herbivorous fishes. If accumulated levels of the toxin are great enough, they can cause poisoning in humans who consume the flesh of these fishes. Poisoned people report having gastrointestinal problems for up to several days, and a general weakness in their arms and legs. It is very rare to be afflicted with ciguatera poisoning. Conservation status. The shrimp industry has had a major impact on the northern red snapper populations due to bycatch of young fish in shrimp trawls. This has been a source of conflict between shrimpers and snapper fishermen for years. It has been suggested that shrimping should be closed in certain areas during critical times of the year to minimize the impact on the snapper fishery. Also, commercial and sport fishing activities have resulted in declining populations of the northern red snapper. The U.S. government has recently established catch limits for the northern red snapper. At this time, the World Conservation Union does not consider the snapper to be vulnerable or threatened. Geographical distribution. This snapper is found in the western Atlantic Ocean, from Massachusetts to Brazil, although it is uncommon north of the Carolinas. It also occurs in the Gulf of Mexico. Habitat. The adult northern red snapper lives offshore on the continental shelf, over deep reefs, banks, and rocky bottoms. Populations residing amongst such three-dimensional structures are usually larger than those in smooth bottom areas. Adults of this species are found at depths of 33 to 620 feet, with older larger fish tending to prefer the cooler, deeper spots. The young live over sandy and muddy bottoms that provide a rich food supply of shellfish for the foraging juvenile fish. As the juveniles mature, they seek cover in the form of ledges, rocky outcroppings, and wrecks. During winter, northern red snapper move offshore to avoid the cooler, shallow inshore waters. Distinctive features. This snapper has long pectoral fins and a truncate caudal fin. The first and second dorsal fins are continuous with a slight notch in between the two, and the anal fin tapers to a point posteriorly. The pectoral fins are long and reach the anus when pressed against the body. They have a large head with small red eyes and a somewhat pointed snout. Coloration. The body and fins are pinkish red in color, lightening to a white underside. At a size less than 14 inches, northern red snapper have a dark spot on the upper sides below the anterior soft dorsal rays, similar to a number of other snappers. And although they may most closely resemble the blackfin snapper, the northern red snapper lacks the distinctive black spot found on the pectoral fins of the blackfin snapper. Juvenile red snappers may also exhibit bluish stripes on their sides. Dentition. Although most teeth in the upper jaw are densely packed, fine, or hair-like villiform teeth, there are several canine teeth present as well, the latter constituting a definitive characteristic of all snappers. The lower jaw, which projects slightly beyond the upper, has larger villiform teeth. Size, age, and growth. The northern red snapper reaches an average length of 24 inches, with a maximum length of 39 inches, and may weigh up to 20 pounds. Sexual maturity is reached at 2 years, at which time northern red snappers are typically 12 to 16 inches in length. The maximum age is estimated at 40 to 50 years. This snapper grows approximately 4 inches per year for the first 6 years, followed by a generally declining growth rate thereafter. Food habits. Both juvenile and adult northern red snapper are carnivorous, and adults are bottom-oriented predators. Juveniles commonly feed on zooplankton, but as they mature, their diet switches over to larger prey including shrimp, squid, and octopus. Adult northern red snapper feed on a variety of smaller fishes, crustaceans, and mollusks, which they find in flat bottom areas adjacent to the reefs. Reproduction. All snappers are oviparous. Northern red snappers spawn in areas away from reefs, at depths of 60 to 120 feet over flat sand bottom areas. The peak spawning period is June through August in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico, and from August to September off southwestern Florida. Individual fish may spawn several times during the spawning season, and may produce over 9 million eggs during a single spawning event. Northern red snapper eggs are pelagic, spherical, and transparent, measuring 0.8 millimeters in diameter. After spawning, the eggs are buoyant, floating on the surface of the water. The eggs hatch 20 to 27 hours after fertilization. The larvae are very small and vulnerable to starvation and predation. Initially planktonic, they begin to settle out of the water column after about 20 days. The larvae settle on areas with some protection from predators, such as open shell beds. Juveniles have bands below the dorsal fin, the darkest of which appears below the second dorsal fin. As the juveniles mature, they move to the reefs, where they stay as adults. These are cool facts about red snapper. First, 1. What type of animal is a red snapper? Red snappers are marine fish with a rosy red color. The second one, what class of animal does a red snapper belong to? The red snapper species belongs to the class Actinopterygii, and are considered red-fin fishes. Third one, how many red snappers are there in the world? A study suggests that 110 million red snappers live in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico alone. The fourth one, where does a red snapper live? Red snappers are saltwater fish that live in oceans and seas. They are generally found at varying depths starting from 30 to 620 feet in the Gulf of Mexico and the southeastern Atlantic coast of North America. Red snappers are territorial fish and remain within their range. The adults do not move much. Among popular offshore fishes, red snappers are a prize catch. Most recreational anglers catch red snappers along the Gulf Coast, along with Texas. This fish species is also caught from reefs and rigs. In Latin American Spanish, snappers are called chilo, huachinango, and pargo. The fifth one, what is a red snapper's habitat? These species of red-fin fish are found at various depths of the water column. They are usually caught in fishing at depths from 30 to 100 feet, more during the cooler months than the warm summer months. The small and medium-sized red snappers prefer bottom relief or substrates like reefs, rocks, shipwrecks, and offshore oil rigs as they grow to more than 10 pounds. These fishes move to deeper waters and frequent the open sea bottom with fewer obstructions. As red snappers grow, their habitats change with the altering eating habits. Newly hatched red snappers live in open benthic habitats and gradually move to lower leaf habitats parallel to oyster beds. The sixth one, who do red snappers live with? The northern red snapper species are social like the other snapper species. They live in large schools or groups in reefs, marine wrecks, and oil platforms. The adult fish population lives in deeper waters, and the related juveniles are found in the upper parts of the water column. The seventh one, how long does a red snapper live? Red snappers have an average lifespan of up to more than 50 years. The oldest red snapper reported to date lived more than 100 years, and was found in the Gulf of Mexico. The eighth one, how do they reproduce? Red snapper reaches sexual maturity at the age of 2. The spawning season stretches from April to September. Spawning happens along coral reefs and rocky ledges of the Gulf Coast. Smaller females produce lesser eggs than the more mature ones. Newly matured red snapper females may lay 30,000 eggs in a season. Older females may produce up to a whopping 75 million eggs every season. Provided that a female red snapper lives its full life, it may produce as many as 4 billion eggs in its lifetime. Red snapper females lay eggs and the males fertilize them externally. Spawning happens on the flat sandy seafloor. The eggs float and get carried away quickly by the currents. This helps them to get saved from the predators. Red snapper fish grow relatively fast during their young age, and growth slows down once they are focused on reproduction. Ninth one, what is their conservation status? Overfishing of red snappers on the Gulf Coast in the 1980s caused a severe decline in the population of this species. Conservation efforts and effective fishing management related protective measures were taken. The red snapper population is stable now, and is hoped to reach a sustainable level by 2023. Anglers and fishing enthusiasts have to follow catch limits, and the minimum size of the fish caught through fishing. So, today we are talking about some details about red snapper. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos.